This is shaping up to be an independence election, and the latest news poll shows us exactly why. Both the government and the opposition have lost ground in the latest news poll. The poll conducted by the Australian newspaper found both parties are struggling to win enough primary support to take power. Popular support for the coalition and Labor is now at its lowest level in 5 years and the lowest level on record for any election campaign. So let's take you through the numbers. Primary support for Labor has fallen by 1 point to 36%. The Liberal Party has also declined by 1 to 35. At the same point in the campaign in 2019, the coalition's primary vote was 38. Labor was at 36. On a two-party preferred basis, Labor leads 53 to 47 based on preference flows at the last election. 29% of voters are now indicating they would support a minor party or an independent. It shows on these numbers that Labor would still win majority government, but the numbers on leadership are really interesting. Scott Morrison still leads as better Prime Minister. Now, he's risen actually 1 point to 43. The opposition leader, well, this is the second poll in as many days that shows Anthony Albanese has lost some skin in a rocky first week of campaigning. His approval rating has fallen by 5 points to 37%. That is the lowest approval rating since he became leader in 2019. So let's get back to the independents after looking at those numbers. There's at least half a dozen independents going after inner city seats, and most of them are targeting Liberal moderates. So far, they have refused to say who they would support in the event of a hung parliament and therefore minority government. You don't really know what you're going to get in the event of a hung parliament. I spoke to sitting independent MP for Warringah, Zali Steggall. She went so far to suggest that the minority government factor is just a fabrication of the media.
I've made it very clear, as many other crossbench members, I won't be doing any blanket deal for supply for either side, whether it's the coalition or Labor. I will consider things on their merit because that's what my community wants me to do. My community has had enough of politics as usual.
If it's in minority government, you could be the kingmaker. You do know that, right?
No, again, this is the positioning the media likes to make.
No, it's not, because I've seen minority government and the Governor-General needs to have confidence and supply in any Prime Minister in the event of minority. So what will you do?
With respect, most state governments are in fact minority governments, and nowhere near the big deal about it is made as what the media. The media is attached to the idea of a binary situation of blue team, red team when it comes to federal politics. But the reality is many countries have minority governments, and what that does is it brings power of balance to decision making. It just is not a situation of just one side or the other.
Do you know what I mean? There does need to be a Prime Minister, and when it comes down to it, you might be the defining factor. Who would you give confidence and supply to?
And again, this is what I'm saying.
That might come down to you.
Sure. But again, it will come down to the Australian people. So one side of politics or the other will have a prima facie case from the Australian people of who gets closer to being able to form a majority in their own right.
Yeah, but who's the Prime Minister on May 21?
Well, the Australian people will decide. Clearly, the Australian people.
I did try to get that out of Zali Steggall, still very committed not to telling us who she would support in the event of a hung parliament.